Okay, good afternoon from TVA Operations Headquarters in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'm David Mold from Tennessee Valley Authority Communications, and we're here to update you on the storm damage that was across the TVA service territory and our efforts to restore service across the territory, assess the damage. With me today is TVA's Chief Operating Officer, Bill McCollum. We have some media here with us in the room, several others hooked in. We have sort of a makeshift operation today, so some of the folks hooked in remotely will be relaying the questions through one of our staff here. So let's go ahead and get started. Tennessee Valley Authority Chief Operations Officer, Bill McCollum.
Thanks, David. So, as we all know from the coverage today and over the past 24 hours, we've had an unprecedented series of major storms that have moved through our area, causing widespread damage over Mississippi and Alabama. The result of this for Tennessee Valley Authority has been that the storms and the succession of powerful tornadoes that came through took out most of our transmission system in our Mississippi service territory and northern Alabama service territory, meaning that most of our customers in those areas are out of power. At the height of the event last night, we had a total of 52 direct customers and distributor customers off the TVA system who were without power. Over that period of time since last night, since the storms passed through, we've been able to restore 27 of those customers, although not all fully to their state that they were at prior to the storm in terms of the amount of electric service that they have restored, but we've at least reconnected 27 of the customers, so we've been able to partially restore the system. However, there's major widespread damage to our transmission system in these areas, and therefore the complete recovery from this storm and restoration of service to all of our customers is going to take a number of days going forward. We have crews that were out all last night and through the day today, beginning restoration activities, assessing damage, making estimates for return to service, and executing the work that we need to rebuild the lines, rebuild transmission structures, and begin to get power back to customers who are still without power. That work will continue, and we're working that on a priority basis. Also want to mention that as a result of the storm and the damage to our transmission lines, a number of our electric generating facilities were not able to continue to operate because there's no transmission system for them to put their power into. One of those, our Browns Ferry nuclear plant, a 3-unit nuclear plant near Athens, Alabama, shut down automatically as a result of the loss of the lines on the transmission system. As designed, the units shut down automatically. Emergency on-site power sources, diesel generators, started up and powered the equipment in the plant, and the units were then brought to a safe cold shutdown condition. Our operators at the site are completing that process now, and all equipment and systems operated as designed to bring the station down to a safe and shutdown condition. We had other generating units in the area in Alabama and Mississippi that were taken offline because of the loss of the transmission system, and we're restoring those units to service, those generating units, as we complete the repair of the lines, restore connections to the customers, and then have the load that needs the generation, and we're bringing up generation and load together, restoring service to customers. To give you a visual and an understanding of the widespread damage to a portion of our transmission system, this is a representation of our transmission system at the 161,000 volt level. The colored lines are lines that are energized, and you see then last night where we were in terms of all of these areas in white, the lines that were out of service coming through some portions of Middle Tennessee, but then all across northern Alabama and our Mississippi service territory. In terms of the progress that has been made over the last 24 hours. This is an updated map of the same system reflecting that today we've been able to restore power to a number of these lines in Mississippi and a few line segments in Alabama, but we still have large areas in northern Alabama that are without transmission service at this time. And those are the areas that we're working very hard to begin restoring power to as soon as possible. But wanted to emphasize that in many times in storms, you have damage to a few transmission lines or a local area. In this case, the damage is tremendous and widespread across a large area of an entire state, portions of 2 states in our service area, affecting 50-something large customers, distributor customers, and over 675,000 in-use customers in these areas. So it's a huge event, impact on a large number of customers, and a lot of work that will be required to restore transmission service to all of these areas and repair the massive damage that we've seen from these extreme tornadoes. Our folks are going to continue working 24 hours a day, partnering with our distributor customers as they restore the lines in their areas and we restore our transmission service. We'll continue those restoration efforts 24 hours a day until this work is complete. We also want to remind people in the public that anytime you encounter a downed electrical line or damaged electrical equipment, you should never approach that on your own, but report that immediately to your local utility, police, or fire department. So keep safety in mind. With that, we'll open it up for questions.
At this point, is there any need to conserve electricity for folks that are still energized?
Not really. Normally you would advise people to conserve electricity in cases where generation is in short supply. And in this case, it's not a matter of generation, it's the lack of transmission lines to bring the electricity to the customers. So conservation really doesn't help in this particular situation. We just need to rebuild the towers, rebuild the lines, and get the service connected back to our customers.
As far as the Browns Ferry nuclear power plant, how did your plan work in regards to any updates that were made after what happened in Japan?
Well, actually, the plant equipment worked exactly as designed. As I mentioned, one of the designs built into the plant is that if you lose the connection to the off-site grid, the plant is to immediately and automatically shut down. On-site power comes up and powers the equipment, and then you go through the process of bringing the plant to a cold shutdown. That all worked exactly as designed and has continued to function as we've moved through the process of coming to cold shutdown. So it really didn't get into a situation of using some of the things that we've talked about in terms of recent lessons learned. It was basic fundamental design, built-in equipment. Everything worked as it was supposed to, and the plant was maintained in a safe condition.
Where you can power it back up?
Well, first of all, we have to restore the transmission lines in the area around Browns Ferry so that there would be a place to put the electricity if it were generating again. And then we'll need to restore enough of the service in the area to ensure that we have adequate service and need for the power, and that we've gone through the normal restart preparations. So when the system is ready for the plant, we can begin the process of restarting it, but we have to get the transmission system ready.
Okay, do we have any questions from our remote sites?
Tell them that we're working that out right now. Okay.
We'll have the questions in just one moment, please.
One more in the room.
Has TVA ever experienced anything of this magnitude as far as, so much of the transmission system being damaged?
I can't give you a totally accurate answer because if I go far back over time, there may have been something like this historically, but I think that there's a good chance as we look back on this that we'll decide that this was an unprecedented storm in terms of the scope, number of tornadoes, and the amount of damage all occurring during one significant weather event. So it really appears to us right now to be an unprecedented set of storms and amount of damage.
Remote questions ready yet coming in?
You got me?
Yeah, you're up.
Please stand by for the questions coming shortly. Sorry for the delay. Hey.
That's it. Go ahead.
Thank you. We have no questions at this time. Thank you.
Okay, one more came in. Did we have the amount of rainfall that we anticipated earlier in the week? We were gearing for record floods. It looks like maybe a lot of storm damage, but not quite as much water.
Yes, that's correct. Based on the rainfall predictions of some of the storms that were going to be moving through our area in the Tennessee Valley as well as the Ohio River Valley, there was an anticipation that we might see record flood levels on the Tennessee, lower Tennessee, Ohio, and Mississippi rivers. And so we had made flood preparations at our Shawnee plant on the Ohio River and at other facilities. So now appears, as the storms have moved through, that they were much more intense and damaging, perhaps than anticipated, but the overall amount of rainfall, the storms were also fairly rapidly moved through the area, and so the amount of rainfall that was deposited was less than predicted, which is a good news in terms of the flooding. And the flood levels now are predicted to be several feet below previous predictions. We don't see any significant chance of severe flooding damage on any of those rivers.
All right, then. Thank you very much for joining us today. We'll be updating information on the restoration efforts on the TVA website, www.tva.com or gov, whichever you prefer. And if you have any questions, you can call the TVA media line as well. And thank you for joining us. Have a great day.